I want to do my thing, right? And bring someone on. But before I say anything, right? I gotta pass it to the Sizzle. Sizzle, who do we have today? Who do we have today?
Miss Jakeya Sanders is an entertainer, songwriter, and vocal coach with over 25 years of successful music experience. This Philadelphia native started out singing with different community choirs and artists across the tri state area. Jakeya started teaching and mentoring individuals on vocal music education, then launched her business, Jakeya Limitless Music. In 2018, Jakeya became the vocal coach for Philadelphia's own Jasmine Sullivan and many other notable local artists. As an alternative soul indie artist, Jakeya has graced audiences from around the world in the United States, Europe, Italy, Spain, Germany, Switzerland, and more. She's worked with Dorinda Clark Cole, Patti LaBelle, Idris Elba, Kim Burrell, Aloe Black, and Jasmine Sullivan. Jakeya has released her first EP project titled Disco Ball, which is available on all social streaming sites and networks. Welcome to the show, Miss Jakeya Sanders.
Hi, everybody. Limitless
Hello.
Hey,
love to you all.
oh,
Thank y'all for having me.
fantastic. The first thing I have to say right now is I love the Gap because
Gabby.
only special people has the Gap.
The gap little jingle that they used to have back in the day. Fall into the gap. I used to use that
Ah,
in school. Everybody used to be like, "Okay, you corny."
no doubt, no doubt, no doubt. Well, welcome to We Talk With You. We really appreciate you, and we have definitely a dynamic, packed show. And I have to get some information from you. And I'm gonna have to hear that lovely voice before we let you go, right? You know that, right?
I just sang.
That was a teaser. We gonna need a little
We
more.
need an encore. Yes, we need
You
an
know,
encore.
no problem.
No, so that's a great transition to talk about what when did you learn or when did your family learn that you had this special voice?
That's a good question. I'm glad you worded it. When did your family learn? Because
Yeah.
when you're a child, it's just like, okay, my parents think everything I do is cute if it's art, whatever. So my mom actually she was the one to like notice the quality of my voice. We were in the car and I was a big Monica fan back in the day. Okay.
Mm.
So I think Don't Take It Personal was on and I was singing and she was like, you sound good. You sound just like them on the radio. And I'm like, whatever, mom. I'm 8 years old. I don't know what you're talking about. And then because I grew up in church, my granddad was the pastor. So of course she went and ran and told the whole church I could sing. And then of course 2 Sundays later I was up doing a solo in front of the church. So I couldn't run away from it. It was just like, you gonna sing Precious Lord. That's granddaddy's favorite song. And I'm like, okay. So my dad, very musically inclined, him and his siblings, they were the musicians and singers of the church, and my dad plays the bass. And him and my mom both introduced me to a plethora of music from all different genres growing up. So yeah, they were definitely a driving force with me pursuing music professionally.
Oh, fantastic. Now, most people, and believe it or not, well, I won't say believe it or not, because I'm sure a lot of the huge, big, and vocally talented voices come out of the church.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
And so when you said that you started, singing in the church the next day. When did they start to realize that, yo, you're gifted? When did they start to say, like, you know what? I'm sorry, but this is not the only day you're performing. You're going to perform for now on for the rest of the Sundays moving forward.
um, when I started getting more responsibilities. So
Okay.
when somebody notice, your depth of what you do, they start to be like, we can utilize you in this area. Why
Mhm.
don't you take on more responsibility? So when I became the youth choir president, that's when I knew they believed because my
Mhm.
aunt Betty, she was over it and she was like, oh, we got Jakeya now. She got it. Just go ahead. And then she kind of like washed her hands with it. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do with 23 young people and I'm the same age as them? Um, Yeah, and then my mother, I grew up in North Philly. Yes, North Philly, Norf. And I went to Whittier right there at 26 in Clearfield. And it wasn't like a performance based school. You know, we did some singing, but my mom took me out of there and she started putting me into magnet schools where performing arts was like a main focus. So um through then, like since I was 9 years old, I was constantly developing knowledge and education in music performance, music theory, and yeah, it just grew from there. And I think that part of it, the performance aspect, and seeing myself do it made me believe it.
Mm,
And then that's when I was just like, okay, this is something bigger than me.
Mhm.
This is not just a talent. This is something that is meant to be shared with the world. And I only got it from God. So it's just like it's not mine anyway. So I might as well use it to bless others because that's what it's purpose to do.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Classy lady, it looks like you have a question
I
you wanted to
do.
say.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do. And you hit on something that a lot of people don't realize is that you mentioned how going into a school that was focused based on that, a lot of times you got people who could play ball or box, and then they think that, okay, that's all I need to know. Tell us how, when, although you have the gift, tell us how it gets created in a professional way to utilize it better that you've learned.
So you know how when you ask for a physical gift, say it could be your favorite earrings or as a child your favorite toy, and you see it televised on TV, you see it promoted. When you receive the gift, you start to work it or play with it in the way that you want to play with it, and then you start figuring out other features of this gift. Oh, so if I do this, this happens, or if I move the doll baby's arm this way, I can hold her in a different position. You start to see how the gift unfolds and unravels. So I necessarily didn't focus on it as a gift until I was able to connect the ability, the education, the theory with the singing, with the performance. And then it was just like, oh, so I don't only have to sing gospel, I can sing classical. Oh, so I don't
Mhm.
have to just stay with classical. Now I can do jazz, and then I can do rock, and then I can do soft grass, bluegrass, and then I can do whatever.
Mhm.
So it definitely evolves the gift. It's kind of like
Mhm.
when you say make room for your gift, because you really don't know how big it is that you're going to, like, you don't know the depth of the gift until you really 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 embrace it.
Mhm.
So yeah, the educational part helped me to embrace the gift and then to
Wow.
expand.
Wow.
Absolutely,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
that's a great transition to talk a little bit about some of the things that you're most proud of before we get into the major artists that you are working with and have been working with. But let's start a little bit about you being your accomplishments and what stands out with you for you when it comes to some of your accomplishments.
I say I'm grateful for any and every experience, even if I impact one person. I'm grateful for that. But I really, really am grateful and blessed to have traveled the world and seen different parts of the world that I've been selected to. I want to say, most of all, the biggest accomplishment, aside from just singing, is knowing who I am as an artist. That
Mhm.
is the biggest thing. There's so many, like, facets and avenues to be pulled into or to be encouraged to look this way, sing this way, sound this way, walk this way, act like this person, look like this person, and knocking down all of those things internally and just really, really centering myself with who Jakeya is, what Jakeya wants to convey to the world, what Jakeya has lived, to bundle it all up in this pretty package with a bow and to call it art. That is the biggest thing that I'm proud of. And that's where I feel like that aspect of my life open those doors to go to sing abroad, to work with celebrity artists, to be able to start my vocal coaching business in 2008 and to still maintain it. So, yeah, I think that's what I'm most proud of.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Go ahead, Sizzle. Looks like you had some.
Oh, so I was gonna say that you sang on a choir that I wanted to sing on when I was younger.
Really?
Chosen Generation. Everybody wanted to sing with them.
Are you serious?
Yes, everybody wanted to sing with them. So,
Yes.
Sizzle's
yeah,
a singer
yeah.
too. She's modest,
Come
but
on, Sizzle. So that's why your name's Sizzle because the tones be sizzling up
Me,
on
me,
the track.
me, 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 me.
Big up to
But
Brian Jackson. He is still my friend. He's a pastor, garden of prayer, welfare
yes,
center. Yes.
yes, yes. So I just wanted to ask you because you have, for example, Bishop T.D. Jakes. He talked about one time where he wanted to quit and how he was getting so many just nasty comments from people on social media talking about him as a pastor and like him getting money from what he does, and he went through this whole kind of period where he was just like, I don't want any of this. I didn't ask for any of this. Like he just wanted to minister to people and he was getting ready to give up. And then one day he ran, to make a long story short, he ran into this woman, and she had went through like this bout with illness and almost died, and she was telling him that it was his messages that kept her alive, and and then she told him that it's not for you. The preaching and the messages and the ministering is not for you, it's for us. Have you ever gone through anything in your career where you felt like giving up? If you have, describe a moment like when you felt like giving up and what kept you going.
So it's the question is which moment did
Yeah.
when I felt like giving up.
mm,
I mean, this thing is tough. I just was sharing with a friend that we were talking about um people or people of color
Hmm.
primarily how we're so resilient to trauma. How trauma is just like something we do, something we go through, and something we just like, okay, I'll rise above it. And I
Right.
was saying that artists or vocalists or anybody that's in art, we are people that have gone through trauma after trauma after trauma. And those things will it will get you. Like I wanted to quit a few times. But specifically this one thing, this one experience, I literally was out of my mouth. I was depressed. I had went through a bad breakup. I was like laying
Mm.
down on the couch, didn't want to eat, didn't want to wash. I just was like, I'm nothing. That's how I felt. I felt like
Mm.
I was a dead man walking. And I was just
Wow.
like, I'm not singing anymore. This is not, I'm not going to make a career of it. I might as well just keep singing in the church choir in a small neighborhood church and do something in the medical field.
Mm.
This girl that I know, she messaged me the very next day after I said in the universe,
mm.
I'm not going to sing anymore. She messaged me the very next day on Facebook and she said, hey sis, I just wanted to reach out to you, let you know I've been thinking about you. I wanted to share my story with you. I don't think that you know, but I've been in an abusive relationship. I just had a brand new baby with this man, and I found that he was cheating on me, and he kicked me out after he already physically abused me. He kicked me and my brand new baby out the house.
Mm,
And it was
Mm.
in those moments where I was alone, where I was scared, where I was frustrated, where I had to go back to my family's house from having my own, that I remember a concert I was at of yours and you sang Titanium by
mm,
Sia and David Guetta. And she
mm,
said, it was
Mm.
your voice that pierced through me in those midnight hours that said, you shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. She said, your
Wow.
voice brought me back to life when I felt like I wanted to give up. So please, I thank you. Don't give up. And I was just like, was she
wow.
talking to?
Mm.
Did she hear me say this yesterday?
Wow.
Oh my
And that's how
gosh.
you know the gift is bigger than you because God will use anybody to get your attention to be like, that is not the way. This
Exactly.
is stay on the course, stay
Mhm.
focused. And
Mhm.
he always say, what I give you is not going to be easy, but you're more than a conqueror. So those
Right.
things that I was in my mind and letting depression overtake me, that message
Mm,
woke
Mm.
me up, woke
mm,
me up.
Wow. Wow.
And I started my
And
mentoring
mhm.
company the next year.
wow.
Awesome. Yeah, because you said the exact words, like the gift, it isn't for you. You know what I mean? It's like
Yep.
God blesses you with the gift so that he can get the glory, and
Yep.
that it, whoever is going through whatever they're going through, that it can be, they can use your gift
Yeah.
to minister. He can use your gift to minister to them. So
And
that's
not to be
awesome.
long-winded, but it's like with with that particular moment, when I conflict with pastors, when I go and sing and minister and they
Mm,
hear me sing other music, God met this woman there, and I wasn't
mm,
singing gospel music, but it's
Mm,
because
wow.
he lives in me. He
that's
is
right.
Hmm.
present in
Mm,
any
Exactly.
music that I sing. So it's just like I need them to not look at the lyrics so much and look at the
Hmm.
gift. And
mm,
if I
Exactly.
was able to save a woman from depression and
Mm,
low self-esteem by her remembering a performance of mine, you can't tell me
hmm.
God can't use me in any arena.
mm.
Yes, yes. And that was
You
going to
can't
be
tell me.
my next question. That was going to be my next question really quickly. Like, do you feel, because I've heard a lot of singers that started as like a gospel artist, and they felt like they were trapped or put in this box of just
Hmm.
singing gospel. And whereas like you can minister to other people even through, like, the church is a building, but the
Right.
church, we are the church. You know what I
We
mean?
are.
You don't exactly. Do you feel like that sometimes, like you're in a box?
Yeah.
Hmm.
um, growing up, two generations of pastors, my granddad and my father, who is currently a
Mm,
pastor, um, I felt more obligation
mhm,
than support and growth in my personal journey with my gift. It was,
mm,
you need to be here for Sunday school. You need to be here and direct the choir. You need to be here for Wednesday night. You need to be here for Friday night's jam. You need to be here for the youth night. It was,
mm,
you need to be in the construct of our institution. And that's how you
mm,
thrive. Don't focus on what you feel as though you need to do for you. Let's just focus on the church.
mm,
And it wasn't until I came to myself and I left when I was an adult, and I was just like, I can't do this
mm,
anymore. I can't
yeah,
continue to stifle my gift because
right.
I'm scared of letting my family down or letting the church down.
Mm, mm,
And if we go back to scripture, Jesus told the disciples, go out to the hedgeway, the byways and the hedgeways, compel men to come, not stand on this one rock and speak to these one particular group of people. There's so many souls.
exactly.
So, like, what am I doing going to these four walls every Sunday?
Right.
Exactly. And speaking to the same people. Yeah.
Exactly. If y'all already know the word, okay, so let me shake the dust off my feet and go into the next city because
Exactly.
they need to hear my voice.
To teach all
So
nations.
exactly, exactly, exactly.
Mm,
And it was definitely, it still is. It's
yeah.
always a constant fight.
Sorry.
But I've been more blessed by saying yes to him and not to man. So I've been
Mhm.
really,
Wow.
really,
Wow.
really just trying to be in this season and listen to him and segue into why I do a segment on Sundays called Gravity Pool, which
Mm,
is my sanctuary, my space to invite anyone that will come and view and worship with me. I sing worship songs, songs from the heart. I'll have guests on the Sundays that will come and give testimonies, testimonies over sickness, testimonies over faith struggles, testimonies about COVID, or people come and sing, where people of all walks of life can just come and let the pull from God bring us together because that's what He really wants. He is here for us to bring us all together. We are here to touch one another. And that's all I want to do without judgment, without any expectation. Just be with me. Let's talk to God and allow Him to speak through us. So yeah, that's where I had to break down the box and was just like, this is the season. God, He brought us to a halt. The world is stopped.
mm,
We've been just like, okay,
mhm,
what to do? And He's been saying back to the basics, back to the basics, back to the basics. And even though God isn't basic, but that basic foundation was stemmed through Him for me to
mm.
live and move and have my being and to be able to have my art and sing. So I just been giving my mind and my spirit back to Him so He can just lead me in the way that He see fit. It's been cool.
Wow.
Mm.
Yeah, fantastic. And since we're talking
Mhm.
about segues, let's segue into Philadelphia because, as we know that a lot of the talented voices come out of the church, a lot
Yeah,
of talented voices come out of Philadelphia.
yeah,
And you happen to be around, major voices, especially as it relates to Philadelphia and the network that you has been in, like the Lady Amas, the Jaguar Wrights, the
Wow.
Cal Riddicks, yeah, even, my clients right now, the Kendra Family Souls, that
yes.
whole Black Lily, I call it excellence. When you were coming through that, what was the feeling? Because you can't put a word on the type of energy it was during that time, right?
Yeah.
And so, w- how was it in uh, being uh, vocally talented like yourself amongst other great vocally talented young ladies and gentlemen who coming up through that time?
Um, it was intimidating. It was a thing of me still being in the mentality of church girl, church girl, church girl. This is where you belong, kind of thing. And seeing people, vocalists like Carol Riddick, Jasmine Sullivan, that I know come from church, that just came up and evolved into like the scene. And you know what? I've never been to the Black Lily. I came like right after it. Like I
Right.
missed it.
Mm.
I was at like Noni's Patois or the
Quest
Walnut
Club.
Room, things like
Mhm.
that. But I missed Black Lily, and everybody was like, da, da, da. And I'm like, don't talk about it because I missed it.
Mhm.
But it was intimidating, because it was like these powerful group of vocalists that whenever you hear their name, people know they're going to show up and deliver. People go and run and see them sing. I would always hear Lady Anna, Lady Anna. Like people would break their necks to go see her. And I was fortunate enough when she would come to Noni's Patois or Jolly's, and I would just sit in awe and just like look at her. And it was interesting enough that when I had the privilege to work with her recently, she was like, Jakeya, I always knew who you was. I always saw you and I said, that girl can sing. And she was like, and you was always so sweet and always in the background. And I said, just because I was intimidated. I didn't know who I was as a vocalist. And
Mhm.
to be brought up with Jasmine Sullivan, our churches fellowship with each other. I've known Jasmine since she was younger. We went to the same schools, Meredith, Fifth and Fitzwater, and then we both went to Kappa. So to see her and then to be in school with her while she's 15 years old and people running up to her like, can I have your autograph? I was just blown away. Like,
Mm.
what momentum and like talent. And I was just like, I just want to be like y'all when I grow up. Like it was
Mhm.
such an inspiration yet intimidation because it was hard not to compare yourself to them at that time because you wanted to be
Mhm.
like them.
Right.
The
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
universe and God was already aligning you in what it was meant for you. That's why you were in that circle because this is what was magnet to you,
Yeah.
and it's awesome.
And
Yeah.
Lady Carol Riddick, I love her. I call her my godmom. First time I met her, I was just like, "Do you know how much I love you?" And she's always so humble, like, "Girl, stop! You're so sweet." I'm like, "No, you're amazing."
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, she's the man.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, from the church to the arenas to the voice coaching. We got to talk about even the reference tracking. I mean, that's a skill that a lot of people don't realize, right? Let's talk a little bit about you working with these majors and doing their reference tracks. And we have to talk about Idris Elba. We got to
Oh
talk
my God.
about that. Right. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about the reference tracks and you meeting some of these majors and voices and you laying down the track so they can even get it.
So, one of my dear friends, he was murdered 2 years ago. Shelton Hayes came from
Mm.
California. He used to work for Sony Records. And the first night I met him, it was at a part. It was at a party at one of my friends' house, and he was sitting on the couch, and we just instantly connected. And the very first night we met, we wrote a song together at the
Mm.
party. And he was like, I'm gonna need you. Like, I'm getting some work in, like my granddad died. I came back home to Philly and I'm starting to get back into the industry. So he was a writer. And he was like, I'm gonna need you to like reference some stuff. The first song I remember referencing, I did some references for some gospel artists, but the first song that I did for, um, I guess you would call them secular artists, major artists, was he wrote a song for Lady Gaga, Britney Spears, Nicki Minaj, and Beyonce. And
Mm.
I had to reference each voice for the song.
Mm.
And it's such a beast
Oh, real
because
quick, real
go ahead.
real quick. I want you to repeat that because you kind of broke up, and I want people to understand and hear the people who you were kind of setting that track for. Say that one more time.
Okay. So I was brought into the studio by my friend Shelton Hayes to reference a song for Nicki Minaj, Beyonce, Lady Gaga, and Britney Spears. And it was supposed to be a big lady anthem, like Bang Bang with Jessie J and Nicki.
Mm.
Yes.
It was supposed to be like that kind of anthem. And I had to literally embody each artist in the way that they would deliver the song and sing it how they would sing it. Like even with
Wow.
Nicki's inflections with her raps, with Lady Gaga's nice draw and that heavy thickness, that fullness she has, and
Mm.
Britney with her nasally, like deep tones and smoky, and then Beyonce who just does everything else. So he literally like because I kept going behind the mic singing like Jakeya, and he was like, "No, I need you to believe that you are each of these women." And he
Mm.
literally like broke me down. It was kind of like acting class, and it was me like in a higher form of my gift. And that's what I tell people: when you are performing and you're an artist, it's a higher form of yourself. It's
Mm.
you embodying whatever you feel and whoever you want to be on that stage as who you are. It's just it's like an exaggerated version of yourself. So when I went through all of the voices, I was just like, oh my God, this was crazy. Like it was really, really crazy. And when I started like nailing it on the head, they were like, yes, that is it. Yes. So I was just like, this is awesome. It was great.
Wow.
It was so
Wow.
great. I will never forget that experience. And I'm sad that he's gone from me. It's really,
Mm.
really it's been hard. But yeah, he will always be in my heart and he's amazing.
Wow,
He is
wow.
Oh.
amazing. But it's hard. It's another beast because I consider myself a live performer. I want a
Right,
live band. I want live instrumentation. I
Mhm.
don't care if it's just
Mm.
me and some djembes and a freaking harp.
Mhm.
I need live performance and I like feeding off the energy of the crowd. But for the most
Yes.
part, in the studio, it's a different beast. It's a challenge.
right,
It's really humbling. But what it will teach you is how to allow yourself to be in the moment, take criticism from the producers or whoever is there with you, and then have confidence in yourself that you can do it.
right, right. So
Mm.
everyone has problems, especially when you have high class problems. So
Really
can we talk
though.
a little bit? Can we talk a little bit about high class problems, please?
What's a high class problem?
I mean, what's that? Idris
Oh,
Elba.
you talking about Idris Elba?
See, somebody been doing their
High class
homework. You know,
problems, volume one. Yes.
ah,
Okay. So at the time, CJ Branch, Andre Pinkney, two wonderful musicians that are like everywhere in the world right now. And Hanif, he was the MD. I went to school with Hanif, CJ, and Andre. I just know from the scene, know from the industry, with them playing around at different gigs. So they called me and was like, "Hey, we need you to come to New York audition for this Idris Elba gig." I was like, "Idris Elba gig? Ain't he an actor?" And they were like, "Yeah, but he's making an album." And I'm like, "He's singing? Okay."
Mm. Wow.
So I went to New York and I auditioned and I was chosen, me and this other girl named Lydia. We stayed up, we were put up in New York for a week. We did 8 to 16 hour days of rehearsal, singing, taping. And then the day we finally met Idris Elba, we were already rehearsing the set, and me and the other background singer, our back was to the door, the entrance where he came in. So we're singing da 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 da. We hear the door close, and we still singing. We're singing. We both turned around at the same time, and it was like a quick glance, and we were like, "Oh, okay." And we went back to the song, and then next thing you know, we both looked at each other like, "It's him." And then we turned around and was like, "Hi." It was like two girls just like melting, like, "Hi, it's just Elba. Oh my god!" And then immediately we were like, "We're professionals. Just get it together." So when we finally was able to just like connect with him, he's such an amazing, genuine person. He's really, really, really sweet, tall too. He was like the
Mm,
tallest, big, beautiful piece of art walking down the street when
wow.
we was walking down Times Square. And he was just so loving. And he told us his backstory about why he wanted to sing, and it was just really, really good. He became like our homie, and he had a
Mm.
closing party. He DJ'd this party, rented out one of the clubs in New York, and I felt like I was a big time. We had the rope barricading off our section. We had bottles popping. I bought a $22 cocktail. I said, "Girl, you know you ain't got no money. You buying a $22 cocktail." But the experience, I just wanted the experience. I'm like, I'm gonna live it up.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
when we got into the studio, it was just like really, it was effortless. It was just like we laid the tracks down. He was well pleased, and he actually says my name on the track, one of the songs called "Extraordinary Love," and I was like, "Yay! My name is in history with Idris Elba voice."
Wow.
Wow.
So yeah,
Oh
it
man.
was that was like one of my first major like commercial success. It was great.
Wow, fantastic.
Can you imagine that? Like, if you had stayed in the confines of the church, like all this other stuff.
Girl, I would have missed all of that.
Yes, yes.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Like what? I love the Lord, but the Lord has greater. Okay, for me.
Exactly. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
He's in you, so wherever you go, he's with
exactly. I love her. You know what? Won't you sing? I don't need to sing. You should just sing. People need to hear you on the radio. Shoot.
you.
That's
I might need you to be my vocal coach.
Yeah, call me, please. I can't wait to tell
I
Brian.
am.
I'm like, she wanted to sing with your generation. That is so crazy.
Yes,
That is
yes.
awesome.
Oh my gosh.
that's
That
fantastic.
was
Now
the choir.
you mentioned being able to you feel the energy as you're when you're performing, and you love that part of it, especially when it comes to live, right?
Yeah.
There has been talent out there with beautiful voices, and one of my favorites is Summer Walker. She came out not too long ago, said that she has this extreme stage fright, and so I think
Mm.
she actually just came out and said that she was going in retirement because of that. So what is
Wow.
your take on, what would you say to those artists, or to give them that encouragement, or to try to make them feel better as they perform, or to get out of that funk of stage fright?
Hmm. For me, so you know how the phrase or the saying goes, picture everybody naked. I'm not going to give you that advice. But as far as, you know, the the comfortability that comes with just being like, "Oh, everybody else is naked." Ha ha. They're being looked at more than I am, in a way where it kind of takes the pressure off. I would say go into a zone that takes the pressure off you. With me, it's like when I'm on stage, that's my living room. That's my sanctuary, and I'm inviting you in.
Mm.
I remember when I was younger, I would even feel intimidated. I still have an issue with eye contact, and if you see me perform, it might not look like it because I have a few tricks that I use. But I'm still a little timid with like direct eye contact. And I learned from a great vocalist is my Aunt Betty. My Aunt Betty would get up in front of the church, and she would look you right in the eye and sing whatever she's singing. And I mean, she would lock in, and you would feel like the roles were reversed. Like you were standing up in front of people, like, oh my God, everybody's looking at me. That's how she made you feel. It was such conviction, such power, such passion. And I was just like, if I can just get a little bit of that, oh my God, what like like superhero I would feel like I became. And I take some of those things and I still get a little shy on stage. But what I do is I just dive into my art. I know that live performance heals me. I know that live performance is what feeds me and it gives me power even when I feel drained before I even get to the venue. Sometimes there's so much on my head that I'm thinking about that I have to be responsible for, that I have to worry about. And when I get on the stage, it's kind of like I take my clothes off in front of everybody.
Mm.
Seriously, and I'm just relaxed.
Mm.
And I'm like, I'm on my couch.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm
Wow.
taking a shower and the water is just cleansing me. And that's how it feels. And I
Mm.
literally leave it on the stage. So if
Mm.
she can, or whoever else is like dealing with fear, you can really like allow your art to embrace you and overtake you and then realize like I need this. And some people they may not feel that stage performance is for them. They can perform behind the booth. They can
Mhm.
do like maybe little black boxes where more intimate settings. Sometimes big crowds scare people or intimidate people. Some people like small crowds. I don't like small crowds. If crowds are
Mhm.
like this, I'm more nervous. If crowds are bigger and more spread out, I'm cool. So
Mhm.
it depends on the artist, but I really feel like the love of the art and knowing that the art heals you and is there for you and always has your back will kind of ease you sometimes.
Right.
Yeah,
No
it's
doubt.
a hard thing to give somebody advice to get over fear because it's a renewing of the mind that can
Mhm.
only knock out that fear or eliminate it.
Right, no doubt. Well,
Mhm.
it's about that time for you to take this shower, right?
Yes.
And
You know what? I don't like you. Because I will literally take a shower 4 days a day, 4 times a day because it just feels so good. But I hear you. I see what you're doing.
so give us, give us some,
What you say?
So you gotta give
Sorry.
us some right now.
Oh my gosh. Well, considering everything that's going on and Philly is totally turned up, um, this song has been on my mind for a while, and I've been singing it to myself. It's a song by Kirk Franklin and the Family years ago. May his peace be with you till we meet again. May his peace be with you till we meet again, till we reach that promised land, and we're walking hand in hand. May he give you strength to stand till we meet again. Till we meet again. I just want to leave that all for you. Like, let's take peace everywhere we
Mm.
go and remember that love wins no matter what the situation looks like. Love always wins. And
Wow.
let's continue to put ourselves in other people's shoes more and show empathy. And we can see some of the war, but we can only stop it within our minds and in our hearts first, and then spread it to our loved ones and those that are around us. So thank y'all for having me.
Thank you for
Wow.
Oh my
that.
gosh, that was
Fantastic.
so
Fantastic.
beautiful.
I hate to even let you go, but I'm definitely not going to let you go until you let everybody know how they can get in contact with you and get all that good old music and listen to you and all that good old stuff.
Perfect. So, guys, it's Jakeya Limitless everywhere. It's Jakeya. The word limitless, Limitless. That is all social networks: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And my music, Disco Ball, my new EP, has been out for over a year already. I'm excited. That is on all major networks, all streaming networks. I'm talking about Tidal, Apple Music, Amazon, Google, whatever you look up, type it in your search engine and I'll pop up. Thank y'all so much.
Wonderful.
Absolutely. And thanks for
Wow,
popping
that's
up the
so
We Talk Weekly. We
beautiful.
really appreciate you, And
Yeah.
yeah, you're always a
Yes,
friend to the show now that you're here. So anytime you want to come through, just holler at us and we'll make sure that you're on. And shout out to your publicist because,
Yeah,
he
I was
made
about to
sure that
say that.
you're on.
Christopher Weaver
Go ahead,
making this
shout him
happen. Thank you, Chris. I love him.
yes,
out. No doubt, no
Y'all stay
doubt.
awesome. Hit me up anytime. Call me. Seriously. If y'all need me to
yes.
like mix some one and twos, I got y'all.
Mm.
I'm not a DJ.
I'm
I'm not a
sure
DJ. Mm-mm.
I'm sure Lauren Sizzle will be reaching out to you shortly.
Please do.
Mhm.
Yes, yes, I
Absolutely.
will. I
And
will.
y'all are so
Uh,
beautiful. Look at y'all. Okay, I'm gonna go. I just wanted to let y'all know.
you too.
Mwah.
Yes.
All right, take care now. You
Limitless
take care
love.
and thanks for coming out.
Bye.
Bye.
See.
Ah,
Thank- Yeah, no doubt.
she was so
Hmm.
refreshing.
I know. I
That's
know.
Mm.
I
yeah, that
started
was
to jump
good.
in
Good.
with the harmony because I remember that song.
Y'all have so much in common, Sizzle. I mean, growing up in the church, the singing. Yeah, that was a sisterhood right there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I just remember like being in the church and just thinking that you can't do nothing but be in a church and do the work of the church. But then it's like when you think about the stuff she was saying, like, you know, Jesus was talking about going out and teach all nations and this and that and the other. How can you do that if you're stuck in the church?
Right.
So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just
yeah.
kind of remember those same feelings, like,
Hmm.
And it's all
Yeah.
about not wanting to disappoint the elders, is usually how it goes, because that's who sets that precedence of not being able to sing
hmm,
other music other than the gospel.
Yeah.
exactly.
So,
Yeah. And in the movie, the Clark sisters, you see how that went, in terms of,
yeah,
not wanting to disappoint the so-called leadership of the church. And, they have, that hold on you and, believe it or not, that's like the president in the church,
yeah.
the bishops, as they say. But something else we have to
Hmm.
say though is we gotta do our ID. But that's right, y'all. This is WPPM LP Philadelphia 106.5 FM, and this is We Talk Weeklies After the Talk with your boy Charles Gregory and a
Lauren Sizzle.
beautiful.
Classy Lady Sparkle.
And we got Lady S. Dot in the building now. What's up, Lady S. Dot? What's good?
Hey, Lady S. Dot.
What up, though?
Hair looking real cute.
Lips popping
Quarantining.
too.
Yeah, got the
Hmm.
curls popping.
Hmm. Yeah, she thinks she.
Hey, what's up, you guys? It's your girl Lauren Sizzle and Classy Lady Sparkle. And have you subscribed to our channel yet? If the answer is no, you need to subscribe now. Yeah, so stop what you're doing, go right now and subscribe. We like you, you like us, so go ahead and subscribe. Come on over, be a part of the family of We Talk Weekly and subscribe to our YouTube channel. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe now.